Hey guys, so I wanted to share like a little bit of like a revelation I feel like I had kind of recently in my mindset, and it kind of allowed me to seek higher success like in my fitness goals, in my business goals, and pretty much all of my goals. I just wanted to go over this today because I feel like it's really an important thing that a lot of people seem to misunderstand. And I had definitely heard it before. I had definitely not really understood what it meant before and never taken it to heart before. But I think when I finally had this realization of the way the word itself is constructed, that kind of changed things for me. So I want to share that with you guys today because I think it's super important. So one thing that we've all heard before in terms of being successful and fighting for your success and being one of those people that gets what you want versus one of those people that just sort of continues to dream for things, we've all heard it before. Take responsibility for your life, right? Take responsibility for your actions, for your feelings, your thoughts. Take responsibility for your life and making things happen, right? But I think I had heard that before, but I never really understood what the hell that actually meant. So I've explored a few different sources now at this point, but one book that I am reading right now, and I would suggest to you guys if you want to sort of like think of better principles to live by, is The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. I'm reading this right now, and number one, it's number one, guys. The number one principle to live by to see success in your life is literally to take responsibility for your life, your actions, your thoughts, your feelings, everything. And I have a lot of examples now of how I have played victim in the past, how I have blamed people, resented people, been jealous of people, hated myself, like made it about other people when taking responsibility for myself was what I really wanted to, what I really should have been doing. And I think for me, the biggest revelation came when I realized that the construction of the word responsibility literally is the words response and ability. Okay, so I never thought of it that way before. I don't know if everyone has and I'm an idiot or whatever, but I never thought of it that way before. So responsibility to me was one word. It was kind of like, this is your responsibility. Like, that's what it means. But response and ability, okay? So responsibility literally means your ability to respond. Okay? Your ability to respond to events that happen in your life and things that happen to you in a positive and productive way. So for me, this changed a lot of things because I was like, this is more about how I react to things. My success, my happiness, me reaching my goals, anything that I want in my life has so much more to do with my response to events, to feelings, to thoughts, to other people than it does to those events happening to me or to those people, you know, saying something to me, those presenting ideas to me, right? It doesn't matter. If I could see someone at the gym and they could just be like, someone I'd never talked to before, and they could be like, wow, you're really terrible at your job. I can't even believe you're a personal trainer. Like, wow, you suck. And I could take that to heart. I could be like, wow, I'm having an awful day now. I am such a victim. This person has insulted me. Why does shit like this always happen to me? Now I have to feel bad about myself. Or I could just be like, what the hell? This person doesn't know me. I'm good at my job. I'm standing on my own 2 feet. They have no qualifications to say something like that to me. So when you're feeling like a victim, that is 100% your choice every time. And another thing that Jack Canfield in the book goes over is something that these two things together are sort of like what caused the revelation for me. One being the word responsibility literally being the two words response and ability, your ability to respond. And then what he likes to call his equation, E plus R equals O. So E plus R equals O is event plus reaction equals outcome. So if you are not liking the outcomes of situations in your life, if you are not feeling comfortable with the outcomes, happy with the outcomes, satisfied, if you're feeling like a victim at the end of the day, right? There are 2 factors that go into that outcome, and half of it, 50% of it, is 100% on you, okay? The event that happens might be unfortunate. It might suck. It might not be the greatest. It might not make you feel awesome. It might not be really conducive to success or you acquiring what you want in your life, but your response to that event is everything, right? So that goes now into you playing victim. If someone does decide to tell you that you're not good at what you do, or that you suck, or that whatever, your response could be believing them. Your response could be taking it really personally. Your response could be like, well, hell, I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Or your response could be like, this is feeding my fire, okay? This person is now proving to me that I need to do this, because they have no qualifications to say that, right? I'm ready to do this. So event plus response equals outcome, okay? And I want to go over a few things too about just in terms of fitness goals and stuff like that, because as a personal trainer at the gym, I hear it a lot. I hear excuses a lot. I hear reasons for not doing things a lot. I hear words that cause them to be the victim, words that portray them as the victim, right? Words that show resentment for other people, words that essentially don't take responsibility for themselves and for their fitness and their health if they are unsatisfied with it. So I was getting really fired up in the gym the other day with a friend. I also had pre-workout, but we were just talking about people talking about how they want to reach their goals, but never leaving their comfort zones in terms of, I know I've like talked this out so many times at this point, but just the whole idea of people like, oh, I want to build muscle and I want to reach my goals, but I don't understand why I'm not reaching them, because they're not getting out of their comfort zones and they're still like running on the treadmill 60 minutes a day. Like, it's going to take work to force yourself out of your comfort zone, but that's the only place you're going to see success. And so number one would be, yeah, people taking responsibility for that. So I get it all the time. I get, oh, well, see, you look great and stuff, but you're 23, or you have great genetics, or, you know, you just, wow, your mom is naturally slim, or honey, you've never been overweight. You don't know what it feels like. Things like that to me that are just like, you are doing yourself a disservice, okay? You're doing yourself a disservice. I don't anymore. I no longer allow these people to make me feel bad, right? To make me feel bad for being confident, to make me feel bad for working my ass off day in and day out to get where I am, at the expense of other people's egos or other people's feelings. Like, I'm confident. I've gotten to a place where I'm confident, but it was not always like that. And I'm not confident 100% of the time. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with where I'm at because I've taken responsibility for my fitness and my health, and I work really hard at it, really hard. It is one of my main focuses a lot of the time, and I plan ahead a lot in terms of meal prep, in terms of workout. Like, it is a big part of my life. And I don't want someone who hasn't even tried to make it a big part of their lives tell me that the reason they're not where I am is because I am genetically gifted, I am 23, all of these things, okay? I've had an eating disorder in the past. I completely messed up my metabolism to the point where when I gained weight again, it was not in any of the places that I wanted to. I was afraid when I was recovering that I had ruined my body, I had ruined my metabolism, and my body was always going to be worse off than it would have been if I never had the disorder at all, okay? And that was a big concern of mine. So I did my research. I did my research for years. I tried things out for years. I definitely failed a lot. I definitely tried things that didn't work. And I definitely realized after the fact that I was doing things that weren't serving me and things that weren't healthy for me and all of these things, you know. I spent, almost 2 years doing a ton of my weight training with almost 100% squats. And then I realized, okay, so I am quad dominant and my posterior chain is really lagging. So I wanted to tone up the back of my legs and my booty for years, but I just assumed doing more squats, doing more lunges will get me there, instead of researching and finding that there are other things I needed to be doing. So essentially, I feel like, especially in the gym, right? In terms of, like, especially with women, it's always a comparison game, okay? So if someone who is at a really great fitness level, someone walks by, you control that thought process, right? The event is them walking by and you noticing that they look awesome. They look super muscular. They look great. Maybe they have the body that you want. Maybe they have the health that you want. Maybe they have the career that you want, the life that you want, the relationship that you want, any of these things. Maybe they have that thing, okay? Your response could be an excuse, right? An excuse, a reason that you can't do it and they can. That is an example of not taking responsibility for your life, because hell yes, there's a way you can get there. There's a way you can do it, but you're never going to get there if you don't take responsibility for your actions and for your thoughts about yourself and the possibilities that pretty much await you, right? So if someone like that walks by and you have those feelings of of jealousy, you can either channel them into a productive direction, or you can play yourself the victim, and you can make up an excuse that says, oh, well, she has a lot more time than I do. She doesn't have kids. She has great genetics. She's young. All of these things that really don't matter. All of these things that are an example of you doing yourself a disservice, okay? It's the reason that you haven't reached your goals and she has is not because she's young. It's not because she doesn't have kids. It's not because she has more time than you, and it's not because she's genetically gifted. It's not because of any of these things. The reason that she's reached her goals and you have is because she has taken responsibility for her thoughts, actions, and everything in her life. And you, as an example in this situation, have not. That is an example. So I think another thing, it's really frustrating. People, they want to reach goals, but they don't take responsibility for educating themselves on how to actually get there. So one thing that I have been what this has been helping me a lot with, especially in building my business and building my career and continuing my fitness and all of this stuff, is just, if something isn't working, if there is an outcome that is negative, okay? If something has been negative, an outcome that is negative, maybe you injured yourself because you were doing something wrong, or the outcome you wanted from your fitness program isn't happening and it should be happening, or all of these things, right? If there's if there's an outcome that you don't like, and this has happened to me in my business, right? Because I'm still building things. I'm still making things better all of the time. The only way that you can improve is to take a look at what you could be doing better, right? And you can't take a look at what you could be doing better if you don't take responsibility for you being a part of that equation, okay? For you being a part of the reason that you don't like the outcome. If anything negative happens in your life, anything negative that you're not happy about, that you're not proud of, there is always a percentage of you that helped you to get there, right? And then you're the person who's going to get you out of there. So for me, it's like looking at myself more critically, instead of being like, oh, this person is building their business a lot better and they're getting a lot more clients and they're looking a lot fitter and they're doing this, and being like, how are they getting there and I'm not, and finding an excuse. No, my approach needed to change, right? My strategy needed to change, because there's always a way. There's always a way to do it. That is a classic example of me making an excuse, me not taking responsibility for my role in things. Instead of saying, so-and-so can do it because of this and I can't because of that, say, what have they figured out that I haven't yet? What are they doing that I could be doing? That is taking responsibility. And then instead of having that awful mindset where you say to yourself, oh, that person can do it, so-and-so can do it, but I just can't, it turns into, well, if they can do it, I can. And that is so powerful. But you never get to that point until you take responsibility for your life, essentially. So I think that phrase is hard to understand, right? Take responsibility for your life. It's like, people are like, okay, they get it as a concept, but then they're like, what does that really mean? Yeah, I take responsibility for my life. Yeah, I do that. No, you don't. Not if you're complaining, or if you are, if you are resenting, anything like that. If you're finding excuses, that is not you taking responsibility for your life. So I have 4 ways today, and these are going to be things I already talked about a little bit, that you can take responsibility for your life starting today. So number 1 is, take responsibility for your thoughts, your feelings, your words, and your actions. So any feeling that you're having, if it's negative, you have caused that and you can make it positive. Your thoughts, if they're negative thoughts, you can make them positive. Someone insults you and you have a negative feeling, a negative thought, or you could turn it around and be like, I'm going to respond to this differently. Who are they to call me this? Who are they to say this to me? They don't know me. They don't know how hard I've worked. They don't know that I am doing this thing. Because people can say what they want. Anyone can say literally anything they want. But the outcome is all based on how you respond to that. All based on how you respond to that. So taking responsibility for your words and your actions as well, because we know that feelings and thoughts then turn into your words and your actions, essentially. Number 2 is stop blaming, okay? If you are blaming your lack of success on something else, a thing, a person, anything, if you're blaming your lack of success on something else, that is an example of you not taking responsibility for the fact that there might be a role that you have played in that. So ask yourself, what is my role in this? If you don't like the outcome, what is your role in it? And how have you gotten yourself to this place? How can you get yourself out? By responding differently. Number 3 is stop complaining. And that goes hand in hand with stop blaming. Rather than complaining about why you can't do something and why so-and-so can do this and, you can't because of this, making excuses, these are all really, really hand in hand. Basically, you want to think to yourself, like, what can I learn from this experience? What can I learn from this that will allow me to respond differently next time? Because I know we've all heard that phrase before, like, oh, how can I respond differently next time? It sounds so dumb. But I'm telling you guys, if you really start to understand these things, it works. It seriously works. And then the very last thing is to refuse to take things personally. Like I said, people can say what they want. People will say what they want. But 9 times out of 10, when we are insulted by something, when we feel like someone has no right to tell us what they just told us, and I can't even believe, and when we feel like total crap because of something that someone else did or someone else said or an event that happened, right? It's because in our heads, we have caused it to be negative. We have taken it personally when 9 times out of 10, it was not even intended to be that way, okay? So taking things personally is an example of you not taking responsibility for the fact that you have control over how you feel about that event that has happened to you. So like I said, I totally get that it's hard to understand these things sometimes. I have heard it before. I have heard take responsibility for your life before. And like I said, I did not get it. I never got it. Even with these 4 numbers, I probably wouldn't have understood unless I heard the main thing. The main revelation here is that the word responsibility is literally a combination of the 2 words response and ability. It is your responsibility to respond in a positive way that benefits you, okay? Responsibility literally means your ability to respond and your obligation to do it in a way that serves you, okay? And the equation, event plus response equals outcome. If you don't like your outcomes, 50% or more of that equation was caused by you and you alone, in the same way that you and you alone can turn things around. So that is, that's my revelation for today. I don't know if this helped any of you guys. If it did, like, comment, share. I would love to hear about it. This is something I'm still really working on in terms of those 4 numbers. I am trying to hold myself accountable right now for taking responsibility for all my thoughts, feelings, actions, and words, especially if they're negative, taking responsibility for those and looking objectively at myself and saying, how did this happen and how can I reverse it and what was my role in it? And then again, that goes hand in hand with number 2, not blaming anything or anybody else but myself for those negative outcomes. And again, looking at myself objectively and seeing how it happened, how I can prevent it from happening. Not complaining, right? Complaining is a thing that I used to do a lot. I used to be a complainer, right? I was a huge victim. Things happened to me that didn't happen to other people, and I couldn't control these things, and it was unfair. Things that are just unfair, okay? Stop complaining. Find a way that you have a role in this. Figure out what your role in it is. And I can tell you now that you have a role because I was a huge complainer in my life before. I was always the victim and it seemed like bad stuff was always happening to me. Good stuff was never happening to me. I was not the lucky person. And as soon as I switched my mindset over, that all changed for me. 100% on me. It was my fault. And the last thing is refuse to take things personally. Many of us aren't so good at that, and I know I'm not, so I'm still working on it, but I think that these mindset shifts are really excellent ways for you guys, not only to help you push towards your health and fitness goals, especially if you're looking for excuses right now that you can't. That is the biggest thing, and that's how it relates to all of what I've been doing right now, but also in your life, your business, your relationships, just in general, a mindset tool to live by. So remember, the word responsibility itself refers to your ability to respond. And the event plus the response equals the outcome. So if you want good outcomes, you sure as hell better be careful about your responses.